Fear is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. But the moment you start running from it, that's the moment it starts running your life. This is the story of a boy named Arav, who lived every single day trying to escape fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being seen as weak. On the outside, he looked like every other normal teenager, quiet, polite, always blending in. But inside, he was fighting a storm no one could see. Every morning, he'd wake up with dreams bigger than his doubts. He wanted to start a YouTube channel, play guitar on stage, and one day become someone who inspired others. But every night, he'd fall asleep hearing the same quiet voice in his head. You're not ready. You'll fail. People will laugh. And so, every dream stayed locked inside him. Days turned into months, and fear became his habit. One day at school, an announcement came. There was going to be a public speaking competition. The topic? What does courage mean to you? Arav felt his stomach twist. He avoided eye contact, hoping no one would ask him to join. But deep down, something in him wanted to do it. For once, he wanted to speak without shaking, to stand without hiding. That night, he went home and told his grandfather about it. His grandfather was a calm, wise man who had lived through struggles of his own. A man who had seen war, failure, and loss, yet carried peace in his eyes. He asked Arav gently, "So, why don't you take part?" Arav looked down and said, "Because I'm scared. I can't do it." The old man smiled softly. "My boy," he said, "do you know what fear really is?" Arav shook his head. "Fear," his grandfather said, "is not here to stop you. It's here to show you where to go next. When your heart beats faster, when your hands start shaking, that's life telling you, this is where you grow." Those words stayed with Arav all night. He couldn't sleep. He kept hearing his grandfather's voice echoing in his head. Fear shows you where your growth is waiting. By morning, he made a decision. He was going to sign up for that speech competition. Not to win, not to impress anyone, just to face himself. When he wrote his name on the list, his friends laughed. "Bro, you? Public speaking? You'll freeze!" Arav smiled nervously. "Maybe I will, but at least I'll try." He spent the next 2 weeks preparing his speech. Every day after school, he'd stand in front of the mirror, stumbling, sweating, forgetting lines. But slowly, word by word, something began to change. He realized that fear wasn't attacking him. It was testing him. Every time his hands trembled, he practiced breathing deeper. Every time his voice cracked, he practiced again, softer, slower, calmer. He didn't aim to be perfect anymore. He just wanted to be present. Finally, the big day came. The auditorium was packed. Students, teachers, judges. Arav could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes on him. His name was called. As he walked to the stage, his knees felt weak, his throat dry. He held the paper in his hand, but the words blurred. He stood in front of the mic, frozen. Seconds passed. Someone in the crowd coughed. A whisper spread through the room. He forgot. And for a brief moment, Arav thought about running away. But then, he remembered his grandfather's words. Fear shows you where your growth is waiting. He took a deep breath, put the paper aside, and said quietly, "I'm not here today because I'm fearless. I'm here because I'm tired of letting fear control my life." The crowd fell silent. Even the judges stopped writing. Erev continued, his voice still shaking, but his heart steady. "I used to think courage meant not being afraid, but now I know courage means being scared and doing it anyway. Because fear will always be there. It whispers lies. It tells you you're not enough. But when you stop running and face it, you realize fear was never your enemy. It was your teacher all along." When he finished, there was a moment of stillness. And then, the entire hall erupted in applause. Not because it was the best speech, but because it was real. It was human. It was honest. That evening, Erev went home with a strange calm inside him. He didn't win the competition. Someone else did. But he won something far more powerful: his freedom. He went to his grandfather and said, "You were right. Fear doesn't stop you from living. Running from it does." His grandfather smiled proudly. "Now you understand, Erev. Courage isn't born in comfort. It's born in fear." From that day on, Erev started living differently. When fear showed up, he didn't run, he listened. He joined new activities, met new people, took chances. Every time fear appeared, he'd whisper to himself, "Thank you for showing me where to grow next." Years later, Erev became a motivational speaker. The same boy who once couldn't say a single line in front of a class was now speaking to thousands, sharing the lesson that changed his life. And every time he stood on a stage, he carried his grandfather's words in his heart. A reminder that fear doesn't mean stop, it means step forward. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to control you. The more you face it, the smaller it gets. And the day you stop running from fear, you start running towards freedom. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because every week, we share stories that heal your mind, awaken your courage, and remind you that you are stronger than your fears.